You only have to look at the activities of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or Warren Buffett to realise that giving to charity creates huge headlines in the United States. It's an industry almost in its own right. In the UK, it's still a huge industry, but it doesn't get anything like the same headlines, according to research by Professor Cathy Pharoah of Cass Business School. She says it all has to do with family foundations. I asked her to explain the concept.
Foundations are charitable trusts which people establish. They often put several million pounds worth of endowment into it, and then they do their giving from that endowment, which is invested. A family foundation is a trust that's been set up by a family with its own personal money, sometimes with a legacy, and very often has members of the family on the board, so they're very involved in the decision-making of the foundation.
So this is personal philanthropy by the richest people in society, and according to the research you've done, they're still giving at extraordinary levels.
Yes, altogether, last year, family foundations gave £1.4 billion. And what we found from the trend data was that going back 4 years, family foundation giving increased hugely and only slowed down a little in 2008-9 when the rest of the economy was collapsing pretty fast. This suggests that family foundations were drawing on their reserves to maintain their giving, and it shows their commitment to their beneficiaries and their programs.
And this is important because the recipients need the money more than ever at a time like this.
Yes, I mean, that's the big challenge. Will family foundations be able to continue to draw on their reserves and their deep pockets to sustain giving just when there's going to be a much bigger call on them?
And this fits in very much with government policy and the idea of the big society.
Yes, it does and it doesn't. Clearly, family foundations are a source of philanthropic funding. I think I show in the research that they support a huge range of programs in welfare, in arts, in education, and their resources are pretty thinly stretched over need. I think that if they are to continue to be a big part of big society, we're going to have to see many more wealthy people setting up foundations. And one of the purposes of the research was to try to encourage more people to see what they can do.
How did you go about this research?
Well, it's quite challenging because charities are registered with the Charity Commission, but they don't come out with a flag saying, I'm a family foundation. So you have to look quite hard at the annual reports and accounts in order to find out where the money that founded them has come from and who's on the board and that kind of thing.
Of course, the government is keen to find money from really any source other than taxation to fund good causes. Is there anything the government can do to encourage this sort of giving?
Yes, I mean, I think it's going to be very important to maintain the kind of tax reliefs that we have around major giving and not take them away. And there's been quite a debate about that. We're waiting at the moment to see what the government's going to decide around charitable tax reliefs. I would be quite happy to see them extended for very major gifts so that they get closer to the US level. The other thing I think the government can do is ensure that family businesses and wealthy families who do give generously get some kind of public recognition for what they're doing, where they want it, but that their contribution is recognised, because giving is often reciprocal. People don't always, very rarely do something for nothing. I think we have to have a much bigger public recognition of the role of philanthropy. And I think the other thing government has to do is be careful not to undermine what foundations are doing, because they're not there to fill the holes in government coffers. They're extremely independent, and they're very protective of their causes and their donors and beneficiaries. So I don't think they will welcome the role of gap filler.
Is there anything in this that business school students can take away and use themselves to make the world a better place?
Yes, I mean, I think that what we see in the report is that some of the most successful entrepreneurs of the last 2 decades have retired early and set up family foundations and are now enjoying a second career, doing good work and giving back to society. And I think that's a great model for students to aspire to.
Professor Cathy Pharoah, thank you very much.